Hello everybody and welcome to the DenziBlitz here on the ECS Network. I'm your host Mike from Electric City Sentai DenziCaster, and this is part 6 of our 8-part look at Uchuu Keiji Gavan, or if you prefer Space Sheriff Gavan, also known as the guy in silver right there on my shelf. Today we are looking at episodes 30 through 34. We're 15 episodes to go and very much in the home stretch. So let's take a look at what these 5 episodes have to offer. So episode 30, we're going to do some quick synopses. Episode 30 is Don Horror's son returns to Maku Castle. Essentially, this is the debut of a new general. It is San Dorva. I keep wanting to call him Sun Dorva for some reason, but San Dorva. Basically, he shows up. We meet his mother, Kiba, which means that I guess this old crone is the way we're meant to perceive the character in the show, is somehow Don Horror's baby mama. Which frankly just seems weird if you watch the show. But San Dorva appears, the son of Don Horror. Apparently he has done great things throughout the universe for the Maku, and now he has come to Earth to take down Space Sheriff Gavan and allow the Maku to take over. Episode 31 is Listening to the Angel's Song, the princess who became a doll. In order to save the planet Bees from becoming a Maku colony, we are introduced to Space Sheriff Alan, who is in search of the planet's princess. She's on Earth, time is running out, and so he enlists the help of Gavan to track down the princess. And so we now have 2 space sheriffs on Earth, at least for an episode. And he debuted in episode 30 towards the very end of the episode. The Space Sheriff Alan, played by a legendary actor, even by 1982, in Tokusatsu history, and we'll get to that a little more as we talk about the episodes. Episode 32, The Mysterious Underground Maze. Target is WX1. Basically, Sandorva and Witch Kiba aren't as badass as they seem to think they are. And so they come up with a new plan, which is to craft a strange building where it eats people. The walls consume individuals as they come in. And, of course, Kojiro, our UFO researcher, Wakaba and Yoichi decide to investigate the building full of the weird walls as well. So it's up to Gavan to save them, or does he instead become the next victim? Then we get to A New Monster is Born, The Boy Who Picked Up an Alien. That's episode 33. Essentially, it's the plot of the 1998 American Godzilla movie. More or less. San Dorva comes up with a new plan with Witch Kiba, which is, they refer to it in the episode as basically artificial insemination of doublers. So they have these eggs that are a combination of doubler and monster DNA. Pretty sure we already have that. They're called double monsters. But these special eggs, once they hatch, will turn into 60-foot tall kaiju. And the idea is to deposit several of these on Earth in Earth's increasingly polluted atmosphere. Somewhat on the nose for Japan of the time, if I recall my history correctly. But do that, the monsters will hatch, and Tokyo will be at their mercy in no time. Gavan manages to stop all but one of those eggs and hilarity ensues. And then episode 34 is Memories Are Tears of Stars, a fatherless child, a motherless child. Basically, the Maku have found a way to control people's memories. And to make matters worse, Yoichi, our young boy lead in the show, has become one of the Maku's latest victims in this plot, which involves him essentially forgetting that his parents are dead. So he instead thinks he's been orphaned, and between him and his grandfather, who runs the writing stable that Gavan ostensibly works at, they seem to have forgotten that at this point in the show. He's more just straight on space cop. And Wakaba, his sister, all try to remind him of the unfortunate reality. So Gavan tries to put this whole thing to rest, or fall into the trap himself, one or the other. So, going through this batch of episodes, I'm going to be honest, there's a lot in here I didn't care for. It's a lot of Monster of the Week stuff, which is fine. We've said it once, we'll say it 1,000 times, or at least we'll say it 2 more times. It's 1980s Toku. It's going to be episodic. That's fine. The monsters in and of themselves are not bad. The emphasis in the episodes, and it's a trend pretty much for the entire series at this point, is it's less about the monster and more about the general in each episode. So these episodes revolve more around Sandorva crafting an evil plot and creating these monsters or recruiting these monsters to see it through, more than the monsters themselves being a threat or a presence. They are now at this point more or less just weapons. Looking at the list, because I always say, what do I think is essential, what do I think is not? If you're making your essential list of Gavan episodes, we do get a couple out of this batch. Episode 30, Don Horror's Son is returned. Put this on the list. This is an essential episode. There's some stuff in here I really, really like. There's some stuff I really don't. Sandorva shows up. The idea of the prodigal son coming back to take his place by his father's side is very much a tropey thing. It works here. It's actually done well. Sandorva gets an interesting introduction, which involves him getting the better of Gavan in their very first encounter and leaving him alive, basically, because he's not a threat. We get to see the arrogance of Sandorva. Of course, by the end of the episode, Gavan is more or less able to hold his own. We see some tension between Sandorva and Hunter Killer, the Space Sheriff traitor who worked for the Maku. I would have loved to have seen that interplay between those two characters go on for most of the rest of the series up until Hunter Killer gets his comeuppance, right? That's what I would have loved. But we don't really get that. Instead, Gavan finds Sandorva initially because of a signal that he receives. He's able to hold his own against Sandorva because of a signal he receives on a Space Sheriff frequency. And we are told, though we see no proof of it, so we don't really know if the accusation is legitimate or if it's just a contrivance by Sandorva and his mother. But we are told, well, Hunter Killer did it. He's a traitor. He told Gavan how to stop me. He told Gavan about my plan. After all, it was a Space Sheriff frequency, and he was a Space Sheriff. So it has to have been him, without really considering that Space Sheriff Allen is also there by the end of the episode, and in the entirety of episode 31. And that Allen could have just as easily sent this same information. So what winds up happening, though, is Hunter Killer is banished to the darkest depths of space, and we literally just see him floating off into space by the end of the episode, banished by the Maku. The way they've built Hunter Killer up to this point in the series, if he doesn't return in some capacity before the end of the series, if he doesn't either show back up siding with Gavan, helping Gavan against the Maku, be it that was the plan all along, or be it from a perceived slight, if he doesn't have that face turn, or if he doesn't just show back up and get his comeuppance at the hands of Gavan, I'm going to be really disappointed, because they've invested a lot in the Hunter Killer character, and that's the rival. And Sandorva is not going to capture, I don't think, that same feel in fewer episodes. We've had 29 episodes, almost. It's a 44 episode series. So almost 2/3 of the series we've had with Gavan and Hunter Killer as the main rivalry. So it does bother me a good deal. With that said, Sandorva is a very cool design. He is a striking character from the get-go. He is very different from Hunter Killer, which he needs to be. And he does have this son of royalty arrogance and ambiance to him. He is Don Horror's son. He is the heir to the Maku, and you get that in the character. So it's well done there. Also, we do get the first appearance of Space Sheriff Allen. Space Sheriff Allen is portrayed in episodes 30 and 31 by Hiroshi Miyauchi. Hiroshi Miyauchi is a legend in tokusatsu. He made his Toku debut as Kamen Rider V3 in 1973. He would go on over the years. He was the very first Blue Ranger in Super Sentai history as Ao Ranger in Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. Then he would be in Jacker Dengektai as Big One, which made him the first, made him the very first White Ranger. Then he would be in a standalone hero show, also produced by Toei, called Kaiketsu Zubat, which was also created by Shotaro Shinomori. If you see a trend here, all of those shows were created by Shotaro Shinomori. And then he appears here as Space Sheriff Allen, making him, at that point, the first actor to have ever portrayed a hero in Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, and now Metal Heroes. I don't know off the top of my head, because I'm not so familiar with Metal Heroes to know this. I don't know if he's the only one. I just know he was the first one. Space Sheriff Allen, the intriguing thing about Allen is Allen doesn't have armor. He doesn't transform the same way Gavan does. He does have a sword, and he does have a very laser blade-ish final attack. So we get a lot of the trappings of the hero. He wears a similar uniform when we see him do battle. He wears a similar uniform to Gavan when we see Gavan on his ship. When he's in his civilian attire, he pretty much looks like Kaiketsu Zubat. It's basically this black leather cowboyish outfit. So this episode, all you really get of Space Sheriff Allen, of Hiroshi Miyauchi, is him being the Deus Ex Machina that comes and helps save Gavan towards the end of the episode, because Gavan is outnumbered. Episode 31, listening to the Angel Song, I would also put on an essentials list, largely because of Hiroshi Miyauchi. It's very rare that you see, two legends on screen simultaneously like this, where they're equal partners. And in this instance, I'm not referring to characters. I mean, we do think of that from time to time. You think of the Avengers movies, or you think of Superman v Batman, or the upcoming Justice League film. In all of these, we see these legendary characters come together and team up and whatnot. And maybe today that's almost commonplace. But if you transplant back to the 1980s, it was very, very rare. As an example, there was a Spider-Man television show in the 70s. There was a Hulk television show around the same time frame, shortly thereafter. And it would have been really interesting to see Spider-Man show up on The Incredible Hulk. We don't get that. But think about what if it had happened. It's such a rarity then. Or if somehow, I don't know, if you saw Leonard Nimoy in Star Wars. Here's a legend of the past, in this case, recent past with Hiroshi Miyuchi, and then you have a legend in the making in Kenji Oba. It's a really good episode. It's fairly bog standard. There's a bounty hunter as our villain du jour. The episode itself has some interesting pieces here and there. The villain is really odd. He turns people into dolls to transport them. So basically, he spins around in place, and the victim turns into a mannequin that he just hauls out and then restores to living form later. But it is a cool episode. I did enjoy it. And it's worth being on the essentials list just to see Hiroshi Miyuchi and Kenji Oba both at the prime, on screen at the same time, in these incredible roles. So, because for all intent and purpose, Miyuchi might as well be playing Zubat. Mysterious Underground Maze, target is WX1. I'm going to be honest. There's not a lot to this episode. It's a man-eating building. Jetman did it better several years later. We see Gavan falling into a lot of traps over the courses of these episodes. This is one of them. All in all, it's not one of Gavan's better outings, that particular episode. New monster is born. The whole plot with the monster egg. The plot was interesting. You get the vibe, if this episode were made now, this would have been an ongoing plot for like 12 episodes, going and hunting down all the monster eggs and stopping all the monsters. As it is, it's a one and done episode where he blows up all the eggs but one. It is quite a good episode. We get to see a baby monster, a baby doubler, or double monster in this case. The fights are particularly interesting to me because, as I've said before, they're not afraid to see Gavan get whooped. And so we do see him on the receiving end of punishment in a lot of these episodes. Good episode, entertaining episode. Pretty much the level I've come to expect from Gavan now, 33 episodes in, which is good. I mean, it is excellent 80s tokusatsu. Is it something that you need for the overall? Probably not. But the plot itself is fairly interesting, and we get to see some more of the kids. And in this show, the kids, Wakaba and Yoichi, are actually a joy, as opposed to kids in a lot of Toku shows, which are just horrid. And then we get to the last episode, Memories or Tears of the Stars, Fatherless Child, Motherless Child. I'm going to be honest, on a level here, and it's on a personal level, the episode was a little hard to watch in places, and it had nothing to do with how good or bad the episode was. People who know me know that I lost my father when I was 17 years old. At this point, I'm 36 as I'm recording this. So I could identify with Yoichi if somehow my memory had been wiped to, somewhere while I was 17. My father was 2 weeks before my 18th birthday. So if I was somehow transplanted back in time, I could identify with the shock that Yoichi goes through in this episode. And I will say this, all credit to the young man who played Yoichi in this series, because it was believable. This is, for my money, and if you're looking from an essentials standpoint, does this belong on an essentials list? Probably not. Do you owe it to yourself to watch it? You most certainly do. And I say that because in this particular episode, the kid that plays Yoichi, this is his master episode in this particular series. It really, really is. He is believable. You can see the pain that this kid goes through. I'm actually looking for the actor's name. And for whatever reason, it seems like they did not feel obligated to credit the kids. Because I'm not seeing them on a cast list. Anywho, I guess kids didn't get credits back then. Anywho, but the kid that plays Yoichi just did a tremendous job. There is this just heart-wrenching scene in the episode where he is sitting there on a bench singing what you presume was a lullaby that his parents sang to him when they were still alive. But I cannot imagine being the older sister here, who still isn't even a teenager yet, having to explain, no, our parents died, they're dead, they've been dead for 2 years. It really, really is, for a kid show, and I always say this, remember, when you're watching something like this, it's entertaining and it's fun and it's escapism and it's a superhero show, but you are, in all reality, watching nothing more and nothing less than a 20 to 25 minute toy commercial. But this kid might be the most talented young child actor I've seen in a Toku show, period. There are one or two that actually played heroes years later that are essentially better actors, but the emotion that I got out of this was just tremendous. The concept of the episode is actually pretty cool. It's the Maku brainwashing people to get them to just give them stuff. They brainwash a guy early on that runs a jewel store, and he gives them all of his jewels. Here, have them. So it's a different kind of plot. At the end, it ends the same way, which is a laser sword to the face, as is the way most of these end. But the story itself, this is definitely one of the better episodes of the series. Not essential to any plot. There's nothing new, earth-shattering, groundbreaking per se. But Yoichi in this episode really, really, really makes it stand out. So in the long run, out of these episodes, Don Horror's Son, episode 30, listening to The Angel's Song, episode 31, and episode 34, the Memories Are Tears of Stars. You know what I'm going to say? That probably should be on an essential list anyway, just because that's how good the episode is. Other little mild observations. I'm still upset over Gavion. Don't know how he got it. Don't know why he has it. I don't get it. Why did he need a tank to begin with? They still haven't given us an explanation for it. Okay. I don't know what I think of Witch Kiba as a character. It's just a mild annoyance at this point. Sondorva, you got 10 episodes to win me over of you being the general. Best of luck to you. If they don't bring back Hunter Killer at some point, I am actually going to be upset. Because that's a story they told for 30 episodes for 2/3 of the series. It's got to get paid off at some point. And I do think it's funny that apparently our Gumps in this show, our Mooks, apparently they now interchange back and forth between the black leather vest with the red turtleneck and the black pants to the black leather jacket and black pants with a little bit of the red shirt showing underneath. So apparently they have their Class A's and they have their summer dress, which I can appreciate. They have multiple uniforms. But all things considered, these 5 episodes, as I've talked about them, I'm realizing that it's better than I initially thought at first blush. Episodes 32 and 33, a little dodgy. But the other 3 in this batch do kind of help make up for that. So we got 2 parts to go, folks. It's the final countdown. 10 episodes remain of Space Sheriff Gavan. Next time we meet, next week, we're going to be looking at episodes 35 through 39. Those are The Young Lion of Maku, The Road Show of Resentment, The Funny Tomboy Princess's Earth Adventure, The Surrounded Transport Corps, and When I Returned from School. Actually, I'll go ahead and give you the whole name of that one because it's funny. That when I returned from school, my house was a Maku base. Greatest excuse for no homework ever. So that's going to be our next 5 episodes, episodes 35 through 39. We just got 2 weeks to go, folks, and that's all there is to it. If you want to be in the voting to decide what the next show we talk about here on DenziBlitz is, jump over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/DenziCaster. Go over there right now. You'll find the post. Please vote. Right now, it looks like Power Rangers Dino Charge is winning. Which we do that, it'll officially be the newest tokusatsu show I've actually talked about here. And I've seen part of Dino Charge. I haven't seen all of it. So I always enjoy doing a show I've never actually watched for this. It's really fun. So look forward to that. Make your voice heard. Pick what we're watching. It's either going to be Dino Charge, Megaforce, or Samurai. So either you like me, you don't like me, or you hate me. And I'll know based off what wins. But that said, if you would like to support us here at the ECS Network, we'd greatly appreciate it. Jump over to our Cafe Press store, cafepress.com/ECS Network, or become one of our patrons, patreon.com/ECS Network. We've got plans for different stuff to do on our Patreon page. We're going to revamp it a little bit just because of time constraints being what they are. We can't do everything we were initially looking at doing on there. But what it looks like we're going to do right now is we're going to try to have monthly exclusive videos that will appear there on the channel as on the Patreon, and try to do early access stuff once a week when we can. But we're going to scale all of that back to one donation level. So that's going to happen in the coming weeks. It's not going to happen overnight. But that is the plan. So hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, folks, please share, like, subscribe. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know your opinions. Russ has been commenting on all these videos, it seems, for Space Sheriff Gavan, and we're glad he's been enjoying it. He particularly likes the Monster of the Week episodes, and I got to tell you, Russ, I enjoy a lot of them myself. Got nothing against them. Just every once in a while they do one that's about like some of the ones off of this 5, and it, like I said, a little dodgy. But some of these were Monster Week episodes, and they were good. So definitely leave your comments, join the discussion, and if you do enjoy the show, please subscribe to the ECS Network. It does help us out. We would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, folks, next week when we are taking a look at episodes 35 through 39, we count down the final 10 of Space Sheriff Gavan. I'm Mike. We'll see you next time.